if you want to add a new supply line to an existing copper supply line, I'll show you how to use the SharkBite Max Slip Tee fitting to do just that. I think a SharkBite Max Slip Tee fitting is the easiest way to add a new supply line to a copper supply line because it only requires you to cut out a small piece of the copper pipe. No soldering, no redoing the rest of the supply line. As you'll see in the video, you slip one end of the fitting onto the copper pipe, then slip it onto the other end of the copper pipe, and simply add your new supply line. This is a DIY-friendly project you can do. Because you're cutting into a supply line, the first thing you need to do is to shut off the water to the house at the main shutoff, and then drain the supply lines in the house. Open up the taps at the top of the house, then open up the taps at the bottom of the house. Then let gravity drain the water out of all of the supply lines. When almost all the water is drained out of the supply lines, then you can start. One of the comments I got on my Slip Tee ball valve video is that it's easier to clean the pipe before you cut it. So that's what I did here, and it indeed is the easiest way to add one of these Slip Tee fittings. Clean the pipe with a towel or rag to get the dirt and dust off. Then, use plumber's sanding cloth to clean the surface of the copper pipe. Don't use regular sandpaper, as it's too harsh. Keep cleaning the pipe with the plumber's sanding cloth until you have about 6 inches of pipe clean and shiny. Wipe the pipe to remove any fine material that might be left over. About 1.5 inches from one end of the clean area, cut the pipe. Now I prefer to use a rotary pipe cutter as it gives a clean cut. Snap the cutter onto the pipe, then rotate it in the direction indicated until it cuts through the pipe. Expect some water to come out of the pipe after it's cut, so have a towel handy. You will likely have to carefully remove the cutter from the pipe afterwards, as it will bind in the pipe. Measure 2 inches from the cut and make a mark. Because I'm working with 1/2 inch copper pipes, SharkBite says that 2 inches is the length of pipe to remove. If you're working with a different size pipe, check with the instructions to see how much pipe to remove. Snap the pipe cutter on so the blade is at the mark. Rotate it to cut the pipe. Each cut end needs to be deburred. The SharkBite deburr tool can work, but in a tight spot like this, it's better to use the plumber's sanding cloth to smooth the inside and outside of the pipe ends. Wipe each end to make sure it is clean. Use the SharkBite deburr and depth gauge to mark the insertion depth for each end of the fitting. I'm using the regular SharkBite gauge, so the marks will be covered up when the SharkBite Max fitting is on. I'll be upgrading to the newer depth gauge tool that has the marks for either the regular or max fittings. The longer end of the fitting is the slip end. Carefully slide this onto one end of the pipe until the short end of the fitting is in the gap. Then use the provided collar to release the slip end of the fitting so you can push the fitting onto the other section of pipe. Carefully line it up so the fitting isn't damaged, and it may require some pressure to make it go fully to the mark you made. Double check that the fitting is correctly on each side of the pipe. Cut the new supply line to the appropriate length. In my situation, I had the line run. Just cut it to the length to go into the fitting. Deburr the pipe using the deburr tool if it is a PEX pipe, or plumber's sanding cloth if it is copper. Mark the insertion depth on the new pipe. Insert the pipe into the fitting until it reaches the correct depth. Slowly turn on the water to the house. Use a flashlight to see well, and use your hand to feel for any drips. If there is a leak, shut off the water, drain the pipes, and fix the leak. Now I've got a video on the 6 most common mistakes I've made that cause leaks in SharkBite fittings. Chances are one of those mistakes is going to be the cause of your leak. So I'll link to that video in the description down below. When you know the fitting is working properly, then everyone else in the house can use water again, and you can continue on with your project. Here's the completed project that I did. If you want to add a new water supply line to the existing copper supply lines in your home, now you know how to do it using the SharkBite Max Slip Tee fitting. I'll link to the fitting and the other tools I used in the description down below. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking the video and sharing it. Also, subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I publish new videos on projects, products, and tools that will help us upgrade our homes doing it ourselves. If you're doing plumbing projects in your home, here are some other videos I think you'll also find helpful. Thanks for watching.